Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another Ask Us Anything with the Wolves of Alt Street. My name is Nexus. As always, it is my pleasure and honor and privilege to be your host for this program. Today, we are bringing you Another Block. What is Another
Yes,
Block? Another
yes, that's
Block
right.
is
Yeah,
one of
so
the...
so
If you want to go for it, give us an intro.
yeah, so sorry, I thought that you asked me. So I'm Bigleton, and I'm head of community and growth of AnotherBlock, and we're all about music. So when you hold one of our NFTs, you get the actual percentage of the streaming revenue of that certain song. So you can collect a share of what the song brings in money-wise to the creators. You will get a share of that, and yeah, that's what we're building.
As always, the information presented in this program is not to represent financial advice. It is for entertainment and informational purposes only, and everything spoken is a matter of opinion and does not necessarily represent the entirety of the opinions of the Wolves of All Street or the entirety of Another Block AB. And with that said, I welcome Bigleton and his community guy, Luca SP. Thank you guys for joining us. How y'all doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. Nice to be here. I mean, this Discord is pretty vibrant, even though the beer market, I'd say.
Yes. We're one of the last survivors of a very rough market cycle. And without any further ado, I'd like to dive right in. Go ahead and tell us, just as an introduction, anything about yourselves that you would like us to know to get to know you and your team.
Yeah, so to start with, I can tell you that the company was founded in December last year, so we're still pretty early when it comes to product development and all, but we've been growing so fast. So right now we are around 18 full-time employees and maybe like 3 or 4 consultants on top of that. So yeah, it's been quite a ride. Me, myself, and I joined in January, and I think you joined around March or something, Luca. Can that be right?
Yeah, that should be about right.
Yeah,
Yes.
nice.
I started as a mod initially, but I managed to prove myself, and now I am a lot of things, including the collaboration manager.
Exactly, and we have quite some nice collabs. And even though, as I mentioned, the beer market and all, it's still possible to operate, I'd say. And you just have to be pretty innovative and do a little bit, work a little bit harder to get your name out there. So it's super nice to be here and to get the chance to speak a little bit about our project.
Absolutely. Before we go any further, let's dispel with one of the most popular and at the same time unpopular notions about NFT technology. And I'd like to start this conversation by asking the question, how does this project's NFT differ from all of those other ones out there?
Yeah, so we first of all believe in collateralization of NFTs, meaning that we want to connect NFTs with real world value. And a way of doing that is to actually have a contract between the person owning the NFT and the creator of a certain musical piece, so a song essentially. And what we do is that our head of legal has made a very nice actual contract, legally binding contract, where the holder represents one part of the contract. And when I say contract, I don't mean like a smart contract or more of a traditional one. However, it's on chain, meaning that the contract will be forever on the blockchain. And that contract states that the holder of the NFT owns the right to a share of the income associated with the streaming rights of the song, meaning that when it streams on Spotify, YouTube Music, and all these platforms, people are eligible, people holding our NFTs, our holders are eligible for a payout. And that's the kind of infrastructure we're building on and making it as smooth as possible, obviously, for all holders to claim their income from it. So I guess that's our product essentially.
Okay. All right. Now for the lightest question I'm probably going to ask you during the show. I want to ask you guys, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's your favorite musical artist right now? Let's go.
Mine would be Avicii, I think.
Avicii, yeah. I mean, then you share the opinion of many people over at the office. We're based in Stockholm, Sweden, and Avicii is kind of a god here locally. I'd say. I mean, it's so hard. I would say, like, I've been listening to Drake a lot recently, but still, it's hard to choose only one. But I'm a big fan of hip hop.
I'm with you there. I'm also a big fan of hip hop. What makes you such a fan of Avicii?
Oh man, he was really creative, and I'm missing him every single day. But luckily, he has loads of music still that I can listen to and repeat. But like, his songs have a meaning as well, which I really like. His texts aren't like some words mixed together, but he means the things he sings, which is really great in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Well, with that said, let's get into the meat of the project. When I was doing my research, I noticed that you guys gathered quite a diverse group of individuals as part of your team, with a special focus on the legal aspects of the music industry. In particular, I found that noteworthy because the music industry has been known for decades to be replete with bad record contracts. And I guess my question comes in that I am wondering to what degree your team has considered the legalities to the degree that you brought on so many lawyers.
Yeah, so first of all, I would say that any project wanting to bridge real-world contracts with on-chain ones and essentially change the paradigm of how we see contracts and how contracts are enforced when it comes to the connection between Web3, meaning the blockchain, and the real world, meaning the jurisdiction of either like a nation or more of a global jurisdiction. And that is what is so cool to me about Web3, that Web3 is the perfect place to innovate, meaning that if we were to be, like, how to say, bound by the jurisdictions of an actual nation, it would be much harder. But that's kind of native to Web3, I'd say, that it's not as bound within national limits as traditional the business has been operating throughout time. So that means that we're already now looking into different kind of national jurisdictions of where we can build our product in the most agile way. However, we find Sweden to be kind of nice in that sense because right now in Sweden there's really not much legal boundaries at all when it comes to working with especially NFTs. And that's the thing. There's obviously a lot of legislation around crypto assets in general, and, like, you know, tax law and stuff like that. And usually it goes down to the individual level, meaning that if you do like a crypto business in general, you need to do your own taxes, like filing them each year, similar to how it probably is in the States and many other countries. But yes, we as a company, we're not really affected by any boundaries in terms of Swedish jurisdiction. So it's a pretty good country to be in right now. However, we always have a plan B, of course, meaning that if we need to, like, move the legal parts of the business to another country, that's not anything that we would have any problems with, because then we could have, you know, just a local Swedish company that is essentially employing all of us, but the money flows into, like, let's say a Swiss company or similar. So yeah, there's a pretty good opportunities for us here in the Web3 space, and I think it's essential to have really smart legal and employees that can, like, do all this in a smooth way, because it's not like we're trying to avoid taxes. I mean, we all tax our salary and all that, but it's more like where in which legislation can we best build our product. I guess that's it.
Okay. Let me go ahead and get the hardest possible one of my questions just out of the way. The music, as I said before, the music industry's been replete with bad record deals and bad arrangements with artists over the past 100 years, essentially. Recent NFT projects themselves haven't all worked out particularly well for the artists, meaning the creative people involved, in my personal observation. How is AnotherBlock NFT going to help artists avoid being screwed over by bad record contracts?
So I would say what is so brilliant about what we're offering is that it's another layer, you could say. So it's a new layer of monetization for these artists, meaning that we are not, as many other Web3 startups are, bless their souls, I don't have anything against them, but they are usually like trying to get people to be locked into a certain platform. Let's say a platform similar to Spotify, or some have, you know, these kind of listening parties where people need to use a certain software to like listen together and stuff like that. And I see some scalability issues with that. It's not necessarily a bad idea, but if you go up against these giants, it's similar to like a parallel could be drawn between when Clubhouse came out. It was like everybody was all about Clubhouse. This is so cool. During the pandemic, everybody wanted to be in there and have a blast. But then the pandemic ended, and Twitter was like, yeah, this Clubhouse thing was kind of cool after all. Let's just implement it. And they implemented it. And then, of course, Clubhouse dies because it's like they're one of the biggest platforms in the world. So it just absorbs everybody that wants to use that certain feature. So in my opinion, your product can't really be a simple feature because that is so easy to just implement in another business. So back to the original kind of question there, how can we help artists win? So I would say they don't have to change anything about what they are doing. The only thing they need to do is to make a deal with us, enabling them to tune in with both the Web3 community and their fans that are in the Web3 community, and us then bridging in even more people into this community, getting people to know each other, like, oh, I love this artist, oh, Avicii is so nice, and people can like hang out such as they do in our Discord and just have a good time, invest in the music that they like, and become super fans, because it's like they will spread this music to everybody they know, because suddenly there is an incentive for them to do that, because if it streams and if it goes even more viral, then they will earn more money. So it's a win-win situation, I would say.
I can't disagree, honestly, given the way I currently understand the music industry to work. So when a person purchases a song, you're essentially hoping that the ownership, that next level of ownership, if you will, that the fan is taking over the song, essentially might make them a kind of virtual marketer for the song.
Yeah, exactly. Can you still hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, it was one of my Bluetooth speakers trying to connect. It went rogue on me.
It does that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's just an opportunity then to invest, and it's like we will also have a discoveries section on our site, which will be more about, kind of helping out up and coming artists that you might want to invest in just because you love their music. So then it's more of a kind of almost like funding, how to say, like, these kind of grassroots funding platforms where you can invest in things that you really believe in and want to help out early on. And then maybe there's a smaller chance that it will actually become super, super viral. But if it does, there's so much more leverage, because there's different ways of investing. Either you invest in a really, really high risk one that will give super high returns, or you invest in a song with a really good track record, such as those we have already released. The Weeknd, The Quaint, Alan Walker and Ava Max, Alone Part 2, and Rehab and Laid Back Luke, all are world-renowned names within their certain genre. And if you invest in those, it's like it gets you a pretty decent revenue on a yearly basis, because it has got a lot of traction still, a lot of streams. But if you were to invest in, let's say, somebody who's got like, I don't know, 1,000 followers on Twitter, you might not get a massive amount of money, but maybe it also feels nice. And if they go viral, you will get a massive amount of money. So you kind of get the idea, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's talk tokenomics now. How does an NFT holder go about acquiring and collecting these royalty payments? Can you walk me through how that's going to go?
Yes, exactly. So we haven't done our first royalty payouts yet, but they will. The first payouts will start in February, and if you go onto our website and are a holder right now, you can see that you have like similar to like a profile page or whatever you want to call it, where you can see all your NFTs. And on there, we will create a claim function, meaning that either you can wait and let an amount start building up for like, I don't know, a year or so, or even longer if you'd want. Or you can choose to take it out, and then you need to pay gas fees. So hopefully it won't be that much when it's time to do the payout. And that's why we also like we believe that the best way would be to accumulate over, like maybe 1 or 2 years or similar, and then take out. And also, if you don't claim it, it will stick to the actual NFT, meaning that somebody else can claim it eventually when the NFT gets sold. So that's pretty neat as well.
Okay. So the exact sort of functionality and the implementation of the rewards, you guys are still sort of building and designing that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be the right person to elaborate too much on it either, because I'm not really involved in that, as I'm like, working with the community and all. But I know that they're building, like the first iteration will be like semi-automatic. But in the long run, of course, it would be much cooler if it could be 100% automatic. So that's what we're aiming for, and that's what the true value for investors will also lie in the future, in the tech that we're building, because that tech could also be implemented as a white label solution if somebody else would want to license it. Let's say, right now we're not working with any record labels or anything, but theoretically we could license it out if we wanted to as well. But so we're still building on it. But right now, I would say that it's looking pretty promising. We will also have a utility store, meaning that instead of taking out the value in ETH, you can also use it to buy things in our utility store, such as concert tickets or merch, or even like anything that the community would wish for, essentially. So, or you can also probably use it then to invest in upcoming tracks that we will release as well. So you can like take the revenue to invest in more shares of more songs. So that's what we're currently building.
Okay. Are you planning on only having the payouts in Ethereum, or will there be other coins?
Yeah, so I think that there will be Ethereum and a layer 2 solution, such as Polygon. And in the long run, we want to add more options to that as well. So we want to be cross-chain compatible, not only EVM, but that's something like, we build slowly but steadily. And next year, it will be probably Ethereum and Polygon. And maybe in 2 or 3 years from now, we could definitely see more options for that.
Okay. In theory, the secondary market for songs' rights should rise and fall with the song's popularity. But that said, I just want to see a lot more musicians and artists in general getting on board with this idea, especially given that artists seem to be trending towards singles and away from albums and full-on LPs. How do you guys plan to entice more artists to sell you the music rights for the royalties of their work?
So I would say what's brilliant about us is that we also focus on the minority of the shares of a certain song, because even if we could theoretically buy 100% shares in a song and then sell it to our community and the Web3 community, we want the artists to still have control over what they've created. So we've set an internal limitation to that, just out of idealism, or whatever you want to call it. So we don't want to buy more than 50% of a song, because we feel that it's most beneficial both for holders and for the artist to maintain in control. So I mean, I guess theoretically it's like 51% then for the creator, just to be fair, because we want them to also care about their legacy and their catalog, essentially.
Okay, so you do want the artists themselves, the original artists, to maintain a majority share.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I ask because a lot of secondary NFT market sales often have that, percentage cut of the auction price, right? That goes back to the original creator.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, and that's quick for me. You guys are on it. Final question before I kick it to the community. From a final question from Nexus: if I were a smaller local artist with a localized fan base, and I was interested in utilizing this service in some capacity, how might I go about doing that?
So you send an email to our head of artist acquisition, who is called Ida, and it's spelled IDA at AnotherBlock.io. So she's the kind of curator, I would say, in terms of what kind of music gets released on our platform. And I mean, that's usually how we operate right now, because since it's still pretty early for us, it's really important to have like a selection so that we don't just like open up for anybody, because then you probably could guess how it becomes. It's like then suddenly you're an entire record store of vinyls, and people need to like scroll through to kind of find the gems. And there's a charm to that, of course, but it's also kind of hard to overlook. So that's why we're working with this curated process. But in the future, that's what I mentioned before as well, we will have our discoveries page where you can find up-and-coming artists, and I think that there will be some kind of selection there as well, and you need to like apply. But right now we're super happy to get people's interest, collect people's interest, and we'll get back when that functionality opens up.
Awesome. With that, it looks like we are ready to dive right into the community questions. Okay. Starting us off is Daddy Wolf. Hi, I hope this finds you in great health and whoever is reading this. Well, thank you, Daddy Wolf. Here are a few questions I have while I was going through the NFT project. Question 1. Suppose a creator or music artist who's affiliated with this project copies a background music or tuning of another song unknowingly, but later it is discovered that the original makers of the tune were responsible, and they sue the label with that artist. How would you guys be handling a situation like this, and would there be any repercussions to the NFT holders of this song's rights?
It's a very interesting scenario that I definitely could see happen if we wouldn't have this kind of vetting process. And that's the thing, even when we open up discovery, we will have a due diligence process where we will look into the actual rights, the agreements between, let's say you're a producer and want to sell shares of your song. Then you need to submit, like, okay, so I am on the payroll for this song and I have the legal rights to it, and we will need to go through it. I mean, if those documents were to be forged in the end, that would, of course, be a problem. But right now, we're working with like the biggest producers in the world that we meet physically to get started working with, and we go through, like, that's also one of the reasons, as you mentioned, that we have many people working in a legal team at our company, because we need to do due diligence on all the music that we release to avoid a situation like this happening, because that would of course be really bad. So it's a good thing to bring up, but we have our process there, going through all the necessary paperwork.
Okay. Second question. One of the major problems with ERC 721 based NFTs, per Daddy Wolf's knowledge, is their inefficient transfer capacity. This would mean if one wants to transfer multiple NFTs to a different account, it should be done one by one. This will directly or indirectly put a major load on the network, and gas would be a real deal. How do you guys propose to tackle such an issue?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm that technical when it comes to, like, it's not really me who chose to be a token like that. However, I saw that there was some kind of service to bundling up and sending in bulk. Yeah, I think that, didn't you do that, Loki? You found something where you could send all your NFTs to one address.
Yes, there's multiple tools. I think like Blur, but I use gem.xyz myself. It's a great tool. Not only for transferring NFTs, but also for mass sweeping, which you can also do with our own marketplace right now. But I use gem.xyz for that. That makes them all sent in one transaction.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool. All right. Next question from 0x Typhoon. How can it be verified that we will actually have a part of the ownership of the track?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, that contract between the creator and the holder is uploaded on chain, and it's a legal binding contract which anybody could read through, as it's on the blockchain, making it 100% official. I don't really have the link for it right now, but if somebody's really interested and wants to see it, it's completely fine to jump into our Discord and open a ticket, because we're happy to share that. It's very important to be very transparent about these things. So we're open to share that contract. And I mean, if you don't believe in that contract, then there's not much we can do to prove it, because at the end of the day, if you were to invest in catalog the traditional sense, you would probably go to an office, you would meet with people, shake their hands, and that contract that was presented to you over the table would then feel more real, because it's in real life. Doing business in the digital world could always feel a bit more dubious. So, I mean, I understand the question. It's like you should always verify rather than trust people blindly. But I mean, I work here, the entire team is doxed. So information is up on the website of everybody's LinkedIn, everybody associated with a project. So if we were to make fake contracts with artists, then I mean the implications for us personally would probably be kind of annoying, because then we would be an outright scam, and yeah, that's not something I want to be part of, at least. So
I can see the accusations now. Guys, AnotherBlock did a scam contract with the hologram of Tupac. Last time I checked, he's dead, so he can't negotiate.
Exactly. No, but that is something you always should consider when investing in NFTs. I mean, there's obviously a lot of scams out there, people claiming to have all sorts of stuff that they don't. But yeah, always check for a doxed team, guys. I would say that's one of the key things, because if you're doxed, I mean, the incentive to scam a lot of people is likely much lower, because it would follow you through your career. So.
Yep. Sam Bankman-Fried called. He wants his scam back. Okay. Second question from 0x Typhoon. Will there be a time limit of ownership? For example, 10 years of royalties? This is a good question in particular, because I know some royalty arrangement contracts do have time limits on them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. One of our biggest competitors, if you wanted to see that way, or people in our industry that we usually hang out with and drink coffees and beers with, because they're also a Swedish-based company, Co-Write is their name. They have some kind of limitation to many of their NFTs, and I think they have around 10 years or similar. But we believe that the realest way to give this to the community is to serve it for a lifetime. So, but then, I mean, to be completely transparent, I wouldn't expect a song to stream that much after, like, let's say 40 years time. So there's other competitors out there that have pretty like weird valuations when it comes to the NFTs they're selling. So if you have a song that is super overvalued, then theoretically it would take, like, I don't know, 60 years to recoup that. We're also trying to avoid that, also showing a lot of transparency on the site where you can actually see. I'm not sure if those estimates are up now for our upcoming release, Ric Flair Drip, that is dropping on the 1st of December. I think that those will be up soon. But for all other drops that we have up, we actually have estimates as well on the drop page on our site, meaning that you could see, like, based on calculations that are also transparent in a graph, you can see, like, how long it would probably take to recoup it. And of course, I mean, it's like, this is not a degen project where you will get, like, I don't know, 30% APY every year or something like that. This is something that is backed by a real asset, meaning that it's pretty stable, usually lands on around 6 to 7% per year, which usually beats inflation. Right now we have some anomalies. Oh, I can't even speak today, it's so late in Sweden. Anomalies, I would say, when it comes to the inflation shit. But yeah, you get me. It's a pretty stable asset, even in dire times. So that's what's good about music. Usually streams pretty good, even if the rest of the market is down.
Yeah, especially if you're investing in meme tracks right now.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Master Halo 40 asks, what benefits, use cases, or utilities can I have on AnotherBlock if I am a holder of an NFT apart from getting royalties? And what type of payment can I expect to get with those royalties?
Yeah, so currently we have, of course, token gated channels where we have different kind of activities, such as studio sessions with the producers of these famous tracks. We have AMAs, both big ones server-wide and limited ones to holders. And we also we are also doing raffles. We have a so-called WAGME project, because we believe that the best way to create value for the entire Web3 music community is to buy other NFTs that are associated with music. Last time we bought something was Rug Radio, and we're buying NFTs that we're raffling out to the community. So, and the community right now is around 400 people. After the next drop, we expect it to be around 1,000. So we're going to ramp up the utilities rollout. But we will also have this utility store that I mentioned, meaning that you can use both the soulbound tokens that you will receive from holding our NFTs. You can spend it in the utility store, and you can also, as I mentioned before, take it out. Like, you can withdraw essentially the money from your profile page, and I think either Ethereum or what's it called, Polygon, will be the first alternatives for this. I'm not actually like a developer myself, so I'm not 100% sure which one will be implemented first, but likely there will be like Polygon or Ethereum or both. So that's what I know.
Okay, copy that. Master Halo's second question. I'd like to know why you decided to work on the Ethereum blockchain and not on other networks, even knowing that the commissions there are very high. I'm also curious about why the program of royalty rewards is claimed every 6 months. I feel like that might be a long time to wait to start generating passive income.
Yeah, so the reason why it takes 6 months is just because that's how it works in the entire music industry. So that's not something that we can really have any impact on, because Spotify is doing their payouts biannually, meaning every 6 months. So we're just matching that really. And yeah, I mean, it would definitely be more convenient to have it more often. And I know that people's attention spans are not as good as they used to be. I mean, that goes for me as well. Just right before this, I was like, TikToking real fast before we jumped in. So it's like, always something to entertain yourself with. So, but I mean, I think that paradigm will change eventually as well. And I think that all the streaming services, so-called DSPs, will eventually become a bit more fluid when it comes to payments. But yeah, we can only hope for that. And what was the first part of the question again?
Oh, he was asking about why you guys decided to go with Ethereum, even admitting that Ethereum has high commissions.
Yeah, and definitely. I mean, gas is quite high on Ethereum. We actually started building on Polygon, but then saw that it was a little bit shaky around that time because there was some disruption on that blockchain, and recently we also saw that Polygon's fees in terms of gas, transaction fees, were as high as Ethereum. So we're kind of happy actually that we went with Ethereum, and also because Ethereum is obviously the most popular cryptocurrency in terms of adoption worldwide. I mean, Bitcoin is likely a little bit bigger or something, but we see Ethereum as very promising, and we also want to make it possible in the future to do drops on other chains as well. So it's not like we're 100% focused on Ethereum and will never do anything else. We will of course experiment with other chains as well, because yeah, I mean, it's like not one chain to rule them all. There could be plenty, of course, but right now Ethereum seems like a good bet to me.
Okay, cool. All right, next user's questions comes from My Name Is. Question 1, what platforms are going to be included in the streaming rights?
So it's, I would say it's probably all platforms. It depends on what you mean by saying all, because it's like all major ones. So it's Tencent, the Chinese biggest one, Spotify, and YouTube Music, Apple Music, and even Yandex, the Russian one, I think.
Wow.
And I'm not sure like if there's any more major ones, but all the major ones at least.
Okay, so translation, you will basically include any platform that will pay to license and play the music.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that actually answers the second question too. Are you willing in the future to include other streaming platforms?
Yeah. So it's all major ones, and which is kind of cool because you can see also transparently all the statements. I shouldn't promise too much, but we've already planned for people to, like, if you want to see some kind of record of how well it streams, we are getting those records, and we of course want to share it with the community.
Oh, cool!
So,
so you're getting like a Billboard statistics kind of thing going.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm not sure like how we will publish that, but it would be hypocrite of us to not share that with our holders if they ask for it. So I'm not sure if we will do it like proactively or if we will do it if people ask us, because I mean it's a lot of paperwork, of course, but
yes,
we will get those statements. So we'll see like how to get it out to the appropriate people. But we're part of like the structure where we're like technically written into the ownership of the song, meaning that they can't say no to pay out to us because we're like part of that same payroll as the producer. So it's like there's no way that they can prevent us from getting that money, and then we will also get the statement with it. So
okay, all right, that's cool. I like that. All right, Metamorphosis writes, first of all, I want to congratulate you on such a promising project. It's really nice to have you here and listen to your insights at the Wolves of Wall Street. His first question, it's really cool to see that you're starting this project so well prepared, especially in terms of legal obligations. My question is whether you want to focus on exclusively Western markets like Europe and North America, or whether you might also want to expand into other parts of the world, such as India, the Middle East, Africa, and so on. I say this mainly because both in terms of marketing and also legal aspects and creative control rights, there may be challenges but opportunities at the same time.
Yeah, that's great insights, and thank you for pointing that out, and also thanks for the praise. I mean, when I saw this opportunity to join this company, I was like intrigued. I was like, before I really didn't really believe in NFTs as much, but then when I saw this opportunity, I was like, okay, so this is the perfect use case for NFTs. I mean, so some people are like, yeah, one day you could own your house as an NFT, and I'm always like, but is that really convenient? Is that really something that we would want? I mean, maybe, theoretically, but it's like, it doesn't necessarily make sense, because it's like, it doesn't really add much to it, because if you have a legal contract in that country showing that you own that apartment, isn't that good enough? I mean, it's like, there are countries, so there are local legislations, and a house, I mean, of course, a metaverse house, then, I mean, that makes perfect sense to have as an NFT, but that's another story. So anyways, right now we're focusing mostly on the European market and the American market. And also, we're starting to get pretty big in Japan as well. So over 10% of our community members are Japanese. And they are they're really good ambassadors. They're lovely. We actually recently got a Japanese advisor that is also like spreading the word about us over there in Tokyo and in Japan in general, going to a lot of conferences and stuff. And we're also thinking about trying out to do a local drop in Japan or in Sweden. Or actually, I think that we will have our first local drop here in Sweden, because we will do it in for like what's it called again? This kind of charity event in Sweden. So we'll do like a local drop, very limited supply, and then we will not necessarily market it globally. And then we will see like, okay, so how did it go to do a drop just locally? Is that something that our community likes anyways? I mean, maybe it's fun. I mean, I would buy an NFT that is connected to some kind of obscure Tokyo artist. I would love that. I mean, that's pretty cool. So we're definitely experimenting with different nations and different areas of the world to see. But I think that our main goal right now is to get our name out and get a huge following within Web3. But after that, we're also super keen on onboarding Web2 people, because we believe that this is an actual use case that if you want to call them like Web2 people would probably understand, because it's not that hard or complicated to explain it. I mean, even my girlfriend understands this, and it's like that's a huge breakthrough for me.
Absolutely. Okay, sorry, I was just responding to a couple of quick concerns there. All right, going back to my questions. Metamorphosis' second question. This one may seem somewhat philosophical, but it's something I was thinking about. Do you guys as a project view fans as investors or fans as fans? And which one of these aspects overweigh the other in your mind? The reason I'm asking that is whenever people invest in NFTs, they end up gaining some value from it, symbolic, cultural, or monetary. And at the same time, music fans who do crowdfunding will do it for the sake of being a fan of the genre and the artist. What's your take on this?
Great question, I would say. I've never got this one before, actually, but I'm delighted to answer it. So I would say that the people who are, I mean, they're usually followers or members in our Discord. I mean, technically. So, I mean, in terms of like the social media aspect of it, but how we perceive them is that we perceive them as our body and as our blood and as our organs, because without the people out there, this would never be possible. So for us, it's essential to have people on board. And that's why I want to call, I mean, in our server, we call everybody who is following us we are calling them blocksters. So it's like, you know, that's our community.
I noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, you're a blockster. But I would like to say, like, in a more broader objective sense, for people to like understand the importance of them, I would more call everybody ambassadors, because that's essentially what you become. So you're both a holder, but you become an ambassador because, of course, you want the project to go well, because if the project goes well and more people knows about it, both the floor price will increase and people will listen more to that actual song. And it both benefits the artist and you and the project, and it's just a constant positive feedback loop for everybody involved.
Okay. All right, next question comes from Clutch. Almost every investor holds their NFTs for short term without actually understanding the long-term value. How can you ensure for us that holding this token would be more beneficial long-term? And are there any plans to increase the demand or scarcity of the NFTs?
So that's a good question, and I can start with the last part first when it comes to the demand and scarcity, because our next drop, I mean, this has only been communicated to our holders this far, but I can drop you some alpha here, and the people who owns one of our NFTs or one of our profile pictures that we recently launched, it's like a kind of a proof for being a hardcore fan. All of those will get a super small drop with a 250 supply. That will be Rihanna, bitch better have my money, and she will be playing at Super Bowl. So imagine snatching that one before Super Bowl, holding one of those Rihanna. I mean, seriously, we're so excited about that. So that's something that you will get, and I would see that as a great benefit, because I think those will sell out even before the public allow list, or like, public sales comes to effect anyways. And I would say also in terms of short-term flippers, I mean, it's like, this is not a usual project in that sense, I would say. So it's like, if you want to jump on this just to do like a quick cash grab, this is not really like what we're working towards. So it's like, if you just want a really quick profit, then I don't think this is the right community for you. And that's also why I feel kind of blessed for us to start during the midst of a bear market or crypto winter, whatever you want to call it, because right now the market conditions aren't looking that smashing, to be honest, which is good for us, because then we can create something that starts out at a decent value. And then when the market reactivates again and people are flooding in again, people are finding out about projects, we will be one of the OG projects lasting throughout this, because we're raising money again and we have a pretty good runway as well. So I'm pretty convinced that we will actually make it through this bear market. And just imagine what the value would be then on these NFTs that has stood their grounds, made successful payouts and all that. I think people will see the long-term benefit, and we need to change the paradigm, because, I mean, quick money grabs, I mean, could have worked for the last super cycle, but for the next super cycle, I believe that resilient projects will prevail.
Okay. I'm going to cut in and interrupt my order just for a second, because I wanted to address Reth's question about the prices.
Yeah.
How I was, when I was looking at the cost, the prices were around $100. Is there going to be any increases from that, or is $100 about where you're shooting for per NFT mint?
So it's kind of hard to say, like, because I mean, of course, we could try different methods out. So it's like, I can't really promise it will stay like that forever.
Well, naturally, but, like as any project developer and or leader and or manager, there's only so much you have control over the market and the price action with respect to all of this stuff. But I just wanted to ask that question because it came up and we hadn't actually discussed how much this was going to cost you.
Yeah, but I would say likely. I mean, I think that it will be a likely price point, because usually that's kind of fitting for the amount of percentage that we buy from the music creators. So I think around the $100 is pretty neat, and the upcoming drop will be that as well. But we could definitely experiment in the future with both higher and maybe lower, but I don't think that going any lower serves any positive purpose, because as we're on Ethereum, it doesn't really make sense to have like a share that is like, $20 or whatever, because then like the gas could be almost as much as a transaction if we're in a bad position there with the gas prices. So I think $100 makes sense, and we will probably test out a bit higher price points as well. But we want it to be available to like the general public, because we want to democratize how people own music. So it would be hypocritical if we sold like, I don't know, $1,000 or $10,000. Then only a certain kind of people would afford it.
obviously AnotherBlock, if it expects to keep minting NFTs and selling more songs, they have to make a little scratch too.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, I think so too.
Well, I mean, if it's going to be a sustainable business, obviously you guys have to make a little bit of money in order to keep operating. So I guess
we can just keep on raising money. I mean, that's the way Uber does it, and that's the way how they did with WeWork or whatever the fuck all the companies are called nowadays. They only raise money until eternity. I mean, Spotify is still not even profitable. So, but of course we will earn some money. Otherwise, they won't invest in us. But yeah, you get the idea, right?
Absolutely. And as a current student in an MBA, I'm trying to get a master's in business administration right now. To any startup entrepreneurs who listen to that last little bit, none of that is company startup advice. Do not follow the Uber example. That is company startup advice. Okay. With that said, our next question comes from BitBro Juicebox. In what part of the music release timeline does the NFT minting takes place? It sounds like it happens before the drop of the track, but then you mentioned Ric Flair's Drip, which was released a long time ago, but hasn't made its way to the platform yet.
Yeah, exactly, and that's an essential question that I didn't really get the opportunity to talk about. But the thing is, we can do both, and that's the beauty of it. Because our first track that we released, we did together with the artists, Rehab and Laidback Luke, and that was just when the song was getting released. We also minted it as an NFT. But I mean, there's really nothing preventing us from releasing an NFT based on the percentage of a track that is already out there. In this case, for Ric Flair Drip, we partnered up with one of the producers for the track, Bijan Amir, and he wants to sell off, I think it's around 1 or 2% or so of the total ownership of the track he's got. And even though it's been 5 years since it's released, it still streams heavily. I mean, we're talking millions, so it's still super popular. And I would believe that the United States stands for a lot of those streams as well. I think it's pretty ingrained in the culture there. And I think I saw on Wikipedia the other day that the term drip that we use nowadays, it actually comes from that song. So it kind of popularized the word drip. And I think that's kind of cool to be able to invest in such a cultural marker. So I think that it will continue to stream a lot moving forward as well.
Okay. His second question, you also mentioned we could support an upcoming artist instead of the individual track. Could you provide an example of how we could do that?
Yeah, so what I meant was more you could support a track of an upcoming artist, and that way support the artist, because I think usually when you're an up and coming artist, you're kind of forced, if you don't want to start your own indie label, which some people do. I mean, it gets more and more popular nowadays because internet is such a wonderful platform to get your music out there, but it's still kind of hard, of course. But instead of selling off 50% that the record companies usually demand, so they essentially get in control of your music by buying up 50% of it. And that's actually why one of the co-founders came up with the idea for AnotherBlock, because he actually got a record deal and was approached and got this offer that they would invest, get him an advance, as it's called. So he's getting money up front, but then he gets obliged to live up to the record label's demands, like you need to do this, you need to do that, so on and so forth, and you get like bought by these big centralized structures. So if you're an indie artist, it would make a lot of sense if you could get an advance without selling off 50%. Imagine if you could only sell off like 10%. Of course, you would probably get a smaller amount, but maybe that's enough. Yeah. So that's what we want to create, and in that sense, it could really help up and coming artists through our Discover platform. Like technically, it's a really good way to both maintain more percentage of your rights and connect with your fans, so they can become like Patreons essentially for the song, and they could help make it stream higher. Because if you sell it to a record label, yeah, they will probably buy you some, I don't know, fake followers in some third world country, and say they've done their bit. I mean, they're so scammy, So it's much better if your fans can actually buy into your music. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Roddy asks, will you only invest in the artist, or will it be impossible to invest in a whole genre of music? Like, say, an R&B or a rock NFT to get a basket of royalties?
I like that idea. Actually, we had it. We actually talked about something similar at the office today. Maybe it wasn't like genre based, but we talked about a fund making it possible to invest in a bundle of music rights. So you could have like maybe you could even make sure that we constantly invest in music for you. So we were discussing that opportunity, and as well as bringing on investors that wants us to invest. I mean, even institutional investors wanting to take part of the revenue from the music industry, we could theoretically help them invest. So we bring them like a bundle of music rights. So they just let us invest for them because we're getting pretty good at this right now, and knowing like what streams, what doesn't stream, what can be like popularized even more, what music can we make go viral through the help of our super fans and ambassadors. Yep. So that's definitely something we have in mind.
Two chatters just called it in simulpost fashion an exchange traded fund of music.
Yeah, that's it. That could be the future.
That, talk about radical, you guys. That's really cool. Wow. Okay, Roddy's second question: how will artists benefit from all of this? I don't mean like the new upcomers, that part's obvious, but artists who've already established themselves.
Yeah, so I would say that this kind of catalog sales happen every now and then. I mean, both Bob Dylan and Bob Marley's estate and many of these huge artists, I think even recently now also the Swedish House Mafia sold their catalogs.
Heck, didn't Paul McCartney famously buy the Michael Jackson catalog?
Yeah, I think so too. So I mean, these kind of trades usually happen, and sometimes it's just maybe it's like you prefer to get a huge amount upfront rather than wait yearly for this to cash out. I mean, I guess it's works the same way as being part owner in any company. Maybe you're part owner in a company, you have a pretty big share, and it gets in revenue each and every year, and you stack it up, and it's nice and all that. But maybe you want to buy a super expensive house. I don't know. Like maybe you need the money up front, and then you would want to sell off the percentage and get the money up front instead. And I mean, the people we're working together with, they have a lot of music rights. I mean, Danny Boy Styles, for example, who we did Acquainted, like the Weekend Acquainted drop with, he's been co-producing. I think he's done Doja Cat songs. He's done, I think he's got one of the Britney Spears songs. I think it was Toxic or something like that. I don't exactly remember, but he's been working with huge. I mean, The Weeknd is just one of the artists he's been working with. So, and he's like a part of the company now as well. And we're expecting more really, really nice shares of songs coming through there. But it's like, I mean, obviously he sits on the majority of these himself and don't want to sell them. But a percentage here, a percentage there. It's like it's perfect. Everybody wins. He wins. The artists get a boost in streams because people are buying into the music and become super fans, and we, of course, we gain more traction and get our name out there. So, yeah, we all win, I think.
Awesome. Well, we are officially reaching the hourly mark, and I always want to leave a trap door. We still have a few community questions to go. Are you guys willing to hang out and get these questions answered?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's like I think it's,
I know it's late. But
Yeah, but these questions, I must say, I mean, I've been in plenty of AMAs and also in real conferences where usually people who are listening are answering questions afterwards. But I mean, these questions, this is on a whole nother level. I
yes,
mean, I
sir.
love those questions.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. That's what we do here. That's why I'm very proud
yeah,
of this community. That is what I'm so proud of us. Every time I host this show, like they knock it out of the park, and
yeah.
the community is what gives us value here at the Wolves of Wall Street. I'm all about community. I'm constantly doing everything I can for these guys. I love this server. I love the people here, and I really do believe that the quality of our questions stands differentiated from basically everybody else.
100%, man. 100%. I can totally agree with that.
Moving right along. Next question from Sahal. As per the announcement, for $3,000 to $4,000 per 1 million streams on Spotify, my question comes from an investment perspective. How much will a single NFT cost? And I'm going to add to that in your estimation, right? Because, market forces and all that. And what are you going to guess would be the possible return on investment on, say, a single NFT if that song achieves 1 million Spotify streams?
Yeah, so to begin with, it's important also to note that, these estimates, 3,000 to 4,000, they kind of depend also on what kind of deal that certain rights holder and also in the extent, usually the record label as well, what kind of deal they have. So it can differ quite a lot as well. So it's like sometimes it's much higher than that. It's usually not that much lower than that, but it can also be higher than that. But our estimates is that if you buy an NFT for $100, we're expecting many years to come for you to get between, in a very bearish scenario, we're expecting around 5%, and in a very bullish scenario, up to 10%. Those are pretty broad estimates because obviously it also comes down to how long the song has been out, like what kind of cultural traction does it got, how is it meme worthy? Is it can it easily go viral on TikTok? And all those things needs to be taken into account.
There
And
are a
we've teamed
unique
up.
number of market forces essentially that would affect the return on investment for this particular NFT.
Yeah, and it's also good pointing out that historically, music. I think I've mentioned it once in the call, and historically, music is actually a pretty steady asset to invest in during macro instability, such as what we have right now with the war and everything about the inflation and all that. So in the previous cases, we've seen that even throughout 2008, where the housing market was such a mess and all that, music has been a pretty stable one. So in terms of, not financial advice, obviously, and of course I'm biased. I don't even need to say that, but I think in terms of diversification of one's portfolio, music is definitely something that you should have in mind because, most people don't have easy access to music investments, and that's what we want to change.
And there is a unique event going on that I would be remiss if I didn't mention during this broadcast. Taylor Swift tried to sell concert tickets over the past weekend. I'm not sure how many of you guys are big Taylor fans. I honestly am not a huge Taylor fan. I can take or leave her music, but the industrial drama surrounding the selling of these concert tickets was quite the spectacle. Do you know what I'm referring to, Bigleton?
No, actually, I haven't kept too much track. Now with the entire FTX ordeal, I've been pretty balls deep in the crypto space, I must say.
Understandable. Well, I should let you know, essentially, that the too long didn't read around the whole Taylor Swift concert tickets thing are that she worked through Ticketmaster, as many big artists do, to get a certain number of tickets ready, right, for all of the different venues. As I understand it, these tickets were so desired by the vast number of fans that the scalpers had swiped the best ones up within minutes. And almost no one who actually wanted to go could get their hands on an affordable ticket to these shows. And it raised questions about Ticketmaster's monopoly over the venue sales and access industry, among other questions about the efficacy of alternative routes of selling concert venue access.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Isn't that one of the big proposed use cases for music NFTs as well, like ticketing NFTs?
Absolutely. And it would be a super easy thing, for a ticket NFT to be burned upon being used to access a venue. And then you have a whole permanent transaction record that you could show anyone that evening saying, hey, look, I burned a ticket. I have a right to be here. This is my digital ticket stub.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, that's something that I believe is inevitable. And I wish I had a better clue in like which ticketing infrastructure NFT companies or DAOs that are like, I don't know, up and coming, because I think that's a super competitive market. Like which one will prevail? Like if I had any idea which of these infrastructures or solutions that would prevail, I would definitely invest in that, because that's a proper use case that we have for NFTs. I just find it hard, to know like which solution will actually prevail. But I believe in like 5 to 10 years, I'm absolutely certain that this will have been solved by the ticket NFTs.
And of course, consequently, AnotherBlock is positioning themselves to solve more problems than just the one. Very cool.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, definitely. It will not be like our main thing, I think, but tickets and ticketing is definitely something that will be one of the rewards in the utility store. So,
well, you can tell me now. This is an acceptable answer now to tell me. Oh yeah, no, this not really our main focus. But I expect you to go back to your people and say, guys, we need to look into this Taylor Swift thing, because if this fiasco is this big, then maybe we should sooner explore the NFT tickets with venues.
100%, and we actually have brought it to discussion earlier, so it gets more and more pressing to solve that issue. I'm absolutely with you there.
All right, well, I can't skip my buddy's second question. So Hal's second question: if there are only secondary market sales, are you guys going to take any precautions against someone manipulating the market for the NFT song royalties? Like, for example, massive buy days before royalty distributions and massive sell-offs afterward, for example.
Well, I mean, those things are not 100% preventable, but I think that it will be some variations on there. But I would say that the main benefit of our NFTs is not like to like play the market, because I mean we've seen plenty of other NFT projects that you could do that, and I think that you should keep in mind when buying our NFTs that this is for the long run. If you're just in it for a quick flip, I think there's really no point, because I think that the prices will vary, and I think that some of the drops that we do will be more successful than others. So I think that if you really believe in a certain song, I think that you should buy that. And if you believe in the power of us as a community and the ability for this to change how people are earning money on music, I think that's a pretty good bet and a pretty good mentality if you want to dive into this. Because if we actually succeed in showing to artists that this is a way that they can both earn money and connect with their fans, I think that will go hand in hand with us getting a pretty stable high floor price and a stable volume when it comes to the trading and all that. I think it's essential to like prove ourselves over the long run rather than the short run. So if you're looking into statistics for that kind of period, I think definitely the payouts will have an effect on it. But I mean, I think many people will also have that in mind. So I mean, if it's like if you get your payout and then sell off. I mean, it just gives an opportunity really for people to and like get acquainted with the NFTs that we're providing, and get a fresh member into our community that might stay for long, because that's what we're all about, like the long-term utility, both in terms of payout and in terms of being part of this magnificent community.
Okay. Moving right along, Abhishek asks, are you new to Web3 and overwhelmed by all the terms being thrown around?
Is that a question to me?
I do believe it is, sir. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in crypto since 2012, when I played around with Bitcoin for the first time. So, I mean, I think
man.
yeah, I'm pretty fine with the terms. However,
guys, we have a Bitcoin OG. Watch out.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if I would have saved those Bitcoins, I mean, then I probably wouldn't need a job by now, you know. So back in that time, it was possible to what's it called, mine Bitcoin with your laptop and graphics card. So those were the days, right, before that first pizza was bought. So. But yeah, I mean, I'm not the greatest when it comes to like all the like technical terms. I'm no developer myself, so I hope that sheds some light over the situation.
Absolutely. Abhishek's second question: where are the NFTs going to be stored? And when I purchase one, what exactly am I getting?
Yeah, so what you're getting is that you're technically getting an NFT like on the Ethereum blockchain, and as a part of that, you're getting an artwork stored on IPFS, Interplanetary File System, and that artwork is made by our lovely designer. And what gives value to it is the attached contract that is on chain that states that you're part owner of the streaming royalty of that certain song, meaning that you have the right to claim a certain amount of it based on the percentage that you're having. That is also stated on all the drop pages, and also in the description on OpenSea and all that, how many percentage that you have the rights to. So I guess that's what you're technically getting.
Awesome. Next question from Broked. How are you going to make your investors and holders safe in this bear market and the FTX sales market? Which I think they're going to do what they can, but but there's
but I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I can answer. I mean, it's like, I'll keep it short, but I think that when it comes to our project, in comparison to all others, is that I think that even though if we were to like have a silent period and all that, we need to remember that. And when I say silent period, I mean in terms of engagement. I mean, we will of course be here. We're working on the project, but. When it comes to our NFTs, they hold an actual real world value because they're connected to this actual song that keeps on streaming, even though the market conditions. So it's like, since it's not capped by any certain years, if you come back in 10 years, you will have a claim. And I mean, even if we would stop existing as a company, you still have the contract on chain, meaning that you have the legal right to go to the creator of the song and claim your money. And then, I mean, to be completely transparent, that if that's a small amount that you're owed, it would probably be a bit annoying if you need to, like, you know, do that kind of claim without our help. But you're still legally you're obliged to get it. So that's the thing. And with other NFTs, you probably have a community and all that, but if the community dies, what do you have left? I don't know, really.
Well, that's true, I guess, of any ecosystem and protocol and surrounding economy. Okay, next question from Arthax. Will you create some kind of physical merchandising for the musical NFTs? And he sends the just now reposted example. Which appears...
Sorry, can you
No.
repeat it?
Yes, yeah, no problem. Arthix asks if you guys are going to create some kind of physical merchandising for the musical NFTs. For example, this frame, which displays a song, for instance.
Yeah, that's a lovely idea, and we've been discussing it a little bit at the office. What kind of like physical utilities that you could get from it? And I would say that whatever you as a community want, we could theoretically sort out for you, because we really love to get this feedback from our holders community, and that's why also we are creating the utility store, because on there we want to have your opinions. So like, what would you want to have? Like, what kind of utilities would you like? Do you want concert tickets, or do you want a frame for your NFTs? Like, anything is possible, really.
Okay, cool. And the last question from Lucy Cutie #LonelyAss. Does the NFT represent ownership rights of the music piece in a sense of like sharing the copyright? So the NFT is in time limited and expires after 70 years as per the artist's death and copyright, where it becomes public domain.
Yeah, I mean, it's connected to the same mechanism. So meaning that if you hold NFTs for as long as the rights are viable, or how you call it, then of course, it's unlikely that that the rights will expire before you die or whatever. It's like, if you don't live to be like, I don't know, 150, or if in the unlucky event of the creator dying like pretty suddenly. I mean, I guess we work with some hip hop artists; they could be shot. I don't know, but I think it will be for quite some time. That's for sure. And we shouldn't really dive into like also in terms of the rights, because there's different kind of rights associated with music. So there's master rights and there's publishing rights. And to keep it short, we're mostly focusing on the master rights and the streaming revenue part of it, because it makes most sense in terms of like explaining and counting on and all that. But we actually did for Alan Walker. You also everybody who holds an Alan Walker NFT also owns the publishing rights for that certain percentage as well. Meaning that when it gets synced, let's say it's used in commercials and all that, you also get a percentage of that. However, usually the clear majority of income from music comes from the streaming rights nowadays, meaning that it's a pretty insignificant amount in the entirety. So it's like, let's say it's around 5% of the total amount or something like that. So it's like, it's kind of complex, and I've got to learn it over quite some time now, because it's really interesting as well. But we find streaming royalties, as it's called, to be the most straightforward part of music earnings, and that's why we're focusing so much on it.
Okay, excellent. Did you have any closing thoughts that you wanted to, either of you guys, that you wanted to drop before I ask you to help me with the final part of our show?
I don't know. I mean, it's like very, very nice to be here, and lovely questions. I mean, is this by any chance recorded? Because then I could flex.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, nice.
This is totally recorded. Say hello to Twitch. We do have a couple viewers on Twitch.
Hello there.
Lovely.
Thank you guys as well for tuning in. We appreciate it. All right. With that, let's get to the final part of the show. That would be the best questions. As always, all my tradition is to show my own community that I love them all and I am not biased towards any of them in particular. I turn over rights to as many questions as you guys feel comfortable naming as deserving of rewards. At this community, we reward the top 5 users asking killer questions that help to inform both the project and the community in equal measure. And I always ask the team to check the pinned questions, because any of my questions are not eligible My starter questions are ineligible because I'm the show host. But the community members who ask killer questions, every one of them that is pinned is eligible to receive rewards. Now, there are guidelines to this, remember, goobers in chat. If you guys go on and try to influence them to choose you, that will disqualify you. And I'll disqualify you live in front of everyone, and you don't want me to do that. So everyone play fair. You guys all ask killer questions, and you all are equally deserving of rewards. So that means I don't want any of you goobers to disqualify yourselves by trying to influence anybody. That means pinging me or pinging them and saying, choose me, pick me. If you do that, you're DQ'd. So don't do that. Now, with that said, well, let's get into it. Guys, let's check the pinned messages. If you are on PC, that's the little push pin at the top of the chat channel. And go ahead and help me go through these so we can decide who is deserving of rewards. We pick 5 winners.
Andreas, I have sent you 5 screenshots. It's up to you to decide which ones make it through, but these would be my suggestions, and you can have a look and see if you see any others that should be more.
Yeah, I think let's see. Daddy Wolf, Arthax,
Okay.
and Bit BR, Typhoon,
Okay.
and then Metamorphosis, I think.
0x Typhoon and Metamorphosis. All right, so let me just confirm that. I'm hearing we have Daddy Wolf, Arthax, Bitbro, 0x Typhoon, and Metamorphosis. Are those your all's picks?
Yes.
All right. I don't have a problem with any of those choices. You guys, congratulations. You 5 are our winners for this AMA.
Nice, congratulations, guys. Really good questions.
Indeed. I agree. I'm sure he had to really think of answers. With normal AMAs, he is always like, yeah. I have had these questions several times now. I have a standard answer already. But for these ones, he really had to use his brain, which is good for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's 8:20 here in Sweden, it's past my bedtime. No, just kidding. I'm not usually there.
Well, I, for one, thank you guys so very much, as always, for joining us for this program that goes for the audience and our guests. We had today Biggleton and Luca SP from AnotherBlock NFT, which hopes to end the confusion with regards to music royalties and give projects, that being music projects, a way to sell some of their royalty shares to fans, which of course will get those fans invested in the music.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
For sure.
Thank you guys.
And can I have a few last words?
Please.
So we also announced that you guys could sign up to our pre-mint if you're interested in Allow List for our upcoming drop, the 1st of December, which will be Ric Flair Drip by Offset, Metro Boomin, and 21 Savage. And it's actually the song's 5-year anniversary, and it's streaming as good as ever. So if you want to go grab that one from the primary and be part of that pre-sale, thanks to being on the Allow List or the whitelist or whatever you want to call it, you can sign up to the pre-mint that was posted previously by Nexus. So yeah, we can...
Yes. In the chat right now. There it is.
Yeah.
In the chat.
Lovely.
Yes.
Feel free to sign up.
Links will also be included in the description on YouTube, so check there. Thank you guys so very much. It has been an absolute pleasure to host this show. I'm not going to be able to... Oh, did he just get... Oh, darn it. He posted the Discord invite and got muted. Oh, darn it. Moderators, somebody please unmute that fine gentleman and share their Discord link with the fans in the chat. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to stick around for an after show today because I'm going to have to run and take care of some errands. But this has been an absolute pleasure, and if I had money that wasn't caught up in FTX Contagion to spend, I would probably buy a music in an NFT because I love the sound of long-term investments. And you guys know me, I love interest and I love royalties on a very personal level. That's my favorite way to earn money. So thank you guys, as always, for joining us for this program. We will catch you next time.
Sure thing. Thanks for letting us in. I mean, lovely community we've got there, and keep up the good work.